There are two things worth knowing about me. The first is that I am killing my TBR at the moment. We have just passed the midway point of July and I've read 6 books already, so I'm really just steaming my way through my TBR at the moment. And the second thing is that when I'm stressed, I shop, and I have been pretty stressed over the last few months just with moving and house stuff and all that kind of thing, so I shopped. Hi guys, it's Jess and welcome to my June-July book haul. I have got a fair few books to show you as well as some unboxings to do, so let's just jump straight in. The first books that I have to show you are a set, and these are the #1 Ladies Detective Agency books by Alexander McCall Smith, and these are 4 of the 5 books in the series. So we have the #1 Ladies Detective Agency, Tears of the Giraffe, Morality for Beautiful Girls, and the Kalahari Typing School for Men. Now, I picked these books up a couple of weeks ago from a charity bookshop and they are in absolutely pristine condition. I don't think that these books have ever been read, and I watched the BBC television adaptation of this series of books quite a while ago now and absolutely loved it. Completely forgot about the fact that I wanted to read them until recently. My mum read them and she told me that I would absolutely adore them, so when I spotted them and in such pristine condition and for such a bargain price, I think I paid about £1 for each one, I had to snap them up. So if you aren't familiar with this series of books, they are basically set in Botswana and they follow Botswana's premier lady detective and her assistant as they try to solve the area's many problems, and they get into all kinds of amusing hijinks. And if the books are anything like the television series, then I expect that they're going to be very light-hearted, very humorous, and just really quick and enjoyable reads. So I'm really pleased to have picked these up. Next up we have Tana French in the Woods, and this is a book that I was so pleased to find because I've wanted to read it for the longest time and I've never ever seen it in a UK bookshop. I think you can buy them on Amazon, but they're quite expensive, so when I spotted it in WH Smith's buy one get one half price, I just snapped it right up. And I really wanted to read these because I have heard Katie from Life Between Words and Julie from A Girl in a Book, and I will link to their channels down below, both really enjoy this series of books. So basically this is the first book in a series called the Dublin Murder Squad, and I have deliberately tried to stay spoiler free as much as possible. So all I can tell you is that from basically what it says on the back, so there are 3 friends playing in the woods, 2 go missing, and then 20 years later the surviving child is a detective in the Dublin Murder Squad and he has to go back and face his past, and that's literally all I know, and it's all I want to know going in because I have such high hopes for this book and I don't want to be spoiled for any reason. Now I know Julie did have some issues, I think, with the writing, correct me if I'm wrong, but Katie really enjoys these books, so I trust both of those ladies' opinions, so I'm definitely going to be trying to pick this one up soon. Then we have Truly Madly Guilty by Liane Moriarty, and it's no secret that I am a very big Liane Moriarty fan. I have enjoyed every single book of hers that I've read. This is her latest release and I'm pretty confident that it follows the same scenarios as her other books, in that she looks at things like friendship, marriage, relationships, parenting, all that kind of thing, with some kind of dark secret or significant event that kind of unravels everything that people knew. So this one is set around a barbecue, and it says, by the end of it a lifelong friendship will be in tatters, a marriage on the rocks, and an innocent bystander dead. In just one evening 6 lives will change forever. So yeah, really looking forward to this one. And then finally, before I do my unboxing, I have One of Us is Lying by Karen M. McManus, and I think this is a YA mystery thriller, and I don't know much about it other than the fact that it has taken its inspiration, it seems, from The Breakfast Club, because it says on the front, a geek, a jock, a criminal, a princess, a murder. Who would you believe? So I think the premise is basically that one day 5 students go into detention, but only 4 of them come out alive, and it transpires that the one who died was the owner of like a gossip app, and he was about to release significant secrets about the other 4 students, so they all kind of have a motive, and that is pretty much all I know about it, and I'm really excited to see what it's like. Okay, so now on to the unboxing. Now I think I've said that I'm pretty excited about all of the books I've picked up and shown you so far, so for the future, let's just assume that I wouldn't have bought these books if I wasn't pretty excited about them, and I'm going to try and come up with some other adjectives to describe how I feel about these books. But the first parcel, I think, is one that was sent to me by a publisher. It says on the front Bonnier Zafre, and I'm pretty confident I know what's inside, but I'll just open it and show you. Okay, yeah, so I have been sent the 3 books in the Marge in Charge series, which have been written by the well-known actress Isla Fisher. So they are Marge in Charge, which I think is the first book. Then Marge and the Pirate Baby. And then I think this is the newest one, Marge and the Great Train Rescue. So obviously these are children's books. They are aimed at children aged between 5 and 8. So they've been sent for Meg and Eli to try and read. And I think that Marge is a babysitter, and they're just kind of amusing short stories about the things that Marge gets up to when she babysits for the 2 children, Jake and Jemima. So they're just kind of easy to read chapter books with pictures inside, and I'd not come across these before I was approached to see whether I wanted to review them with the kids, so I'm really looking forward to reading them. Obviously I love that the covers are so bright and interesting, so yeah, I will obviously let you know our thoughts in due course. So parcel number 1. Okay, so the first book that I've just taken out is Colson Whitehead's The Underground Railroad, and this is a book that I put on my 2017 TBR that I really wanted to read it, but I've been waiting for it to come out in paperback because I'm just useless with hardbacks. So I know very little about this other than it's about the story of Cora, who is a slave on a cottage plantation in Georgia. But the interesting thing about this is that the Underground Railroad in this book is an actual underground railroad, whereas obviously when slavery was taking place in America, it wasn't. It was just a figurative way of talking about a route for the slaves to escape by. So yeah, I know that some people have read this that I've watched recently and not enjoyed it so much, but I'm really keen to see what it's like. Okay, then the next slightly bigger box, which I think should have some more books in, and I know I'm waiting for 2 other books, so if I insert a clip after this, which looks a bit strange, I'm expecting them to arrive today. So yeah, there we've got some books in there. So the first one we have is Jane Harper's The Dry, and I bought this literally because Katie from Life Between Words just finished reading it and she said she absolutely loved it, and I know very little other than what I picked up from her. So basically Australia is going through a drought, it hasn't rained for 2 years, and then a murder is committed, and it's all about who really killed the Hadler family. So I cannot wait to read this. I just think that it's going to be so good. Next up we have Nutshell by Ian McEwan. Again, this is a book that I only know limited things about, but I've heard nothing but praise for it. And the interesting thing about this book is that it's told from the perspective of a baby in the womb. So it just says on the back that a wife has betrayed her husband and there's a witness to a plot that she's cooked up, the inquisitive 9-month-old resident of Trudy's womb. So I don't think I've ever read a book or heard of a book that is anything like this. So I'm really excited to see what it's like. And as with most of Ian McEwan's books, it's not that long. So I'm hoping that I can fly through this fairly quickly this summer. Okay, so next up we have Scrappy Little Nobody by Anna Kendrick, and Anna Kendrick is one of my favourite contemporary actresses, and I've been wanting to read this for absolutely ages. And I think the interesting thing about this is that it's not just an autobiography, it's told through self-written essays. So it's going to be quite a different style of book to read, but one that I'm really looking forward to because Pitch Perfect is one of my favourite films, and I'm just really excited to read this. Okay, and the final book that I have is When Dimple Met Rishi by Sanjay Menon, and this book has obviously been doing the rounds on BookTube just recently. It's a rom-com, it's a YA contemporary, it's an Open Voices book. It's just meant to be a really light-hearted but culturally different story. So the basic premise, as I understand it, is that Dimple is a young girl and she wants to kind of break away from her family's expectations, and Rishi is a hopeless romantic who can't wait to meet the girl that his family have arranged for him to marry, and they collide and things happen. So I don't know much more than that, other than the fact that people are really raving about this, and I'm very keen to see what it's like, and I think that it's going to be the perfect book to read for over summer. And I don't read many YA contemporaries because I find them quite angsty, but that isn't the vibe that I'm getting from this book, so I'm quite looking forward to reading it, and I very definitely nearly said I was excited to read it again. Next up we have Little Women by Louisa May Alcott. Now I don't know if you remember that I said during my recent bookshelf tour, which I will link up here and down below, that I only had my childhood copy of Little Women, and it wasn't a very nice copy. It was like an ugly children's classic style book, and I really wanted to get a nice copy. And I've also been collecting the Puffin hardback books, so I've got quite a few now. So obviously when I decided I was going to get one this month, Little Women was the obvious choice. And I just absolutely adore these covers. I think they're so quaint, I think they're so pretty, and I can't wait to reread this. I think that now I own a nicer copy, I'm definitely going to have to reread it, and I'd quite like to read it with Meg, I think, and hope that she loves it as much as I did. So the final parcel has just arrived, typically just when I'd finished filming, and I think that there are 2 books in here, so this will be my entire July book haul. Okay, yep, 2 books. The first one is Everything We Keep by Kerry Lonsdale, and I know literally nothing about this book. I actually can't remember how it ended up on my Amazon wishlist. But it says on the back, a luminous debut with unexpected twists. Everything We Keep explores the devastation of loss, the euphoria of finding love again, and the pulse-racing repercussions of discovering the truth about the ones we hold dear and the lengths they will go to protect us. So, yeah, that sounds really interesting. And then the final book was a complete cover by, and that is 180 Seconds by Jessica Park. And again, I know very, very limited things about this. It just says on the back, 3 minutes could change her life forever. And it's about a young girl who ends up in a social experiment where she has to interact with a complete stranger for 180 seconds, and it kind of forces this girl to go onto a journey of some description. So I don't really know what it's about. That was a really poor description, wasn't it? But that cover is just, it completely took me in. Okay, so they are the books that I picked up in the months of June and July. Do let me know if you've read any of them and what you thought about them. Don't forget to give me the thumbs up and subscribe to the channel for more content, and I will see you all soon.